It starts quietly. You walk into the kitchen and forget why. You reach for a name on the tip of your tongue, and it slips away. You laugh it off, say, "Oh, I'm just getting older." But deep down, there's a whisper. A question you don't say out loud. Is this normal? Or is something happening to my mind? For millions of older adults, that quiet fear grows with every forgotten appointment, every misplaced word. And yet, most of us don't talk about it. We brush it aside, hoping it's just senior moments. But when the line between normal aging and early dementia is blurry, silence can be dangerous. Because here's the truth. Not every memory lapse is a sign of dementia. But not every memory lapse is harmless either. Before we go further, take a breath. This video isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to give you clarity and peace of mind. Because once you know how to tell the difference, you can act with confidence, not fear. So, what exactly is normal age-related memory loss? And what's not? Let's start with something comforting. Natural forgetfulness with age often looks like this. You forget where you put your glasses, but you remember later. You pause to recall a word, but it comes to you eventually. You walk into a room and forget why, but you retrace your steps and figure it out. These are signs of a slowing, not a breaking brain. But dementia? It's different. Subtler at first. But it doesn't stop at forgetting. It interferes with decisions, with relationships, with your sense of time and space. So how can you tell if what you're experiencing is a gentle fog of aging or the early shadows of something more serious? That's exactly what we'll uncover in the next part. And if you've been wondering, worrying, or watching a loved one slip away little by little, stay with me, because this could give you answers you've quietly needed for years. It's normal to forget where you left your phone. It's not normal to forget how to use it. That simple sentence draws a powerful line between everyday forgetfulness and the kind of cognitive changes that point toward dementia. You see, age-related memory loss tends to be inconvenient. You might repeat a story you told yesterday, or forget the name of an old classmate. But once you're reminded, it clicks. You remember. You adjust. Life moves on. But dementia starts to interfere, subtly at first, and then persistently. It's not just about forgetting names, it's forgetting relationships. Not just misplacing keys, but forgetting what the keys are for. Not just losing track of time, but confusing day and night, or missing appointments entirely, over and over again. And here's the part that's often missed. Dementia affects more than just memory. It affects language. A person might search for words, lose track of their own sentences, or begin to substitute incorrect words without realizing it. It affects judgment. Someone might dress inappropriately for the weather, fall for obvious scams, or make risky financial decisions they never would have made before. It affects orientation. They might get lost in a familiar neighborhood or forget how to return home from the store they've visited for years. And sometimes, most heartbreakingly, it affects personality. The warm, cheerful person you knew might become withdrawn, anxious, or even suspicious of loved ones. None of this happens overnight, and that's what makes it so confusing. The early signs creep in quietly, and because they don't look like the dramatic portrayals of dementia we see in movies, families often delay seeking help. But there's a golden rule you can remember. If memory loss begins to disrupt daily life, not just annoy you, but change how you live, that's when it's time to take it seriously. Let me give you a real example. Mary, 72, was still sharp, active, and living independently. But over time, her daughter noticed something subtle. Mary would start cooking dinner and forget halfway through. Not once, but repeatedly. The stove would be left on, ingredients would be missing. Then came the bills unpaid, appointments missed, and calls unreturned. At first, Mary laughed it off. I'm just forgetful these days. But deep down, she knew something wasn't right. After a gentle conversation and a visit to a neurologist, she was diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment, a condition that sometimes precedes Alzheimer's, but can also be managed with early care. And that's the key, catching it early. In the next section, we'll explore the most common early warning signs of dementia, so you can recognize the difference, whether it's happening to you or someone you love. But first, remember this: if you've started to feel frustrated with yourself for not being the same, if you've noticed your brain feels foggy more often, you are not alone, and you are not powerless. The next few minutes might just bring the clarity you've quietly been searching for. By the time most people seek help, the signs have been around for months, sometimes years. And it's not because they weren't paying attention. It's because the early signs of dementia can be so easy to explain away. We say, it's just stress, or she's getting older, it's normal, or worse, he's just being difficult. But here's the truth. Dementia doesn't arrive with a banner. It tiptoes in, wrapped in everyday moments, until those moments start unraveling our sense of self. So how do we know when something more serious is happening? Here are 7 subtle but important early signs to watch for, especially if they show up in a pattern or if they're getting worse. 1. Repeating the same stories or questions. Not just once or twice, but asking the same thing multiple times in the same conversation without realizing it. 2. Struggling with familiar tasks, like balancing a checkbook, following a recipe you've made for years, or operating a TV remote. Tasks that were once second nature suddenly become confusing. 3. Losing the thread in conversations. You might find yourself mid-sentence, and suddenly the words are gone. Or you're listening, but the meaning slips away before you can catch it. 4. Misplacing things, then blaming others. It's one thing to lose your glasses. It's another to hide them in the freezer and then accuse someone of stealing them. 5. Poor judgment. Wearing a winter coat in summer, giving large sums of money to strangers, falling for obvious scams on the phone. These are red flags that something deeper is shifting. 6. Withdrawing from hobbies or social interaction. Not because you're tired, but because you're struggling to keep up or feeling anxious about making mistakes in front of others. 7. A change in personality or mood. Someone who used to be easygoing becomes irritable, suspicious, or fearful. They may become clingy or avoidant. Often, these emotional shifts are their way of coping with confusion they can't explain. And here's an important note. These signs don't appear all at once. They may start with just 1, maybe 2. But when they persist, or you sense a pattern, it's time to pay attention. Let me pause here and say something gentle but vital. If you recognize these signs in someone you love, it doesn't mean they're gone. It means they need your understanding. And if you recognize them in yourself, it doesn't mean your life is over. It means it's time to begin a new kind of care, one that honors your dignity, your awareness, and your right to be seen and supported. In the next part, we'll talk about what actually causes dementia, what's happening in the brain, and why early awareness is your best ally. But before we go there, I want to leave you with this thought. Memory may fade, but your worth doesn't. Confusion may come, but compassion must come first. When memory begins to slip and familiar moments feel strangely foreign, we often focus on what we're forgetting. But the deeper question is, why is this happening? To understand the difference between normal aging and the early stages of dementia, we have to go beneath the surface, to the very architecture of the brain. Let's begin with a bit of science, gently explained. As we age, it's perfectly normal for certain brain functions to slow down. The hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory formation, naturally shrinks with time. You might walk into a room and forget why. You might take a few extra seconds to recall someone's name. These are common and not necessarily worrisome. But dementia is different. In dementia, including Alzheimer's and related conditions, physical changes occur in the brain's structure. These are not just age-related declines. They are diseases of the brain, where nerve cells, neurons, are damaged and begin to die. Let's look at 2 key culprits. 1. Amyloid plaques. These are abnormal clusters of protein that build up between nerve cells. Imagine sticky clumps of debris clogging a clean and organized highway, and suddenly the flow of traffic, in this case thoughts and memories, begins to stall. 2. Tau tangles. Inside healthy brain cells, a protein called tau helps transport nutrients. But in dementia, tau twists into tangles, disrupting the system. The result? Cells become sick. Then they die, and the brain's network begins to break down. As more cells die, the brain physically shrinks. That's why people with advancing dementia experience not just memory issues, but language difficulties, emotional changes, poor judgment, and eventually even trouble recognizing loved ones. Here's the painful truth. By the time someone is diagnosed with dementia, these changes have often been silently progressing for 10 to 20 years. Yes, 2 decades of slow, hidden decline. But here's the hopeful part. The earlier we detect the signs, the more we can intervene. While we don't yet have a cure, research shows that lifestyle changes, supportive environments, and medical care can significantly slow the progression and improve quality of life. There are also new diagnostic tools like brain scans, blood biomarkers, and cognitive tests that allow doctors to better distinguish between normal forgetfulness and the beginnings of something more serious. And for caregivers or family members watching from the outside, knowing what's happening in the brain helps us respond with empathy, not frustration. It helps us stop saying, "You just told me that," and instead say, "It's okay, I'm here." Because what a person with dementia needs most is to feel safe, to feel understood, to feel seen, even when they don't quite see themselves anymore. In the next part, we'll explore practical ways to take action, from getting a proper diagnosis to building a support system and finding hope even in the face of uncertainty. But before we continue, I want to leave you with this. The brain is a mystery we are still learning to map. But the heart, your heart, knows how to care, to comfort, and to stay present. Even when memories fade, love remains. When you begin to suspect that something may be more than just normal aging, the most natural reaction is to hesitate, to wait, to hope it will go away. Many older adults fear going to the doctor with memory concerns, not because they don't care, but because they're afraid of what they might hear. A diagnosis like dementia feels like a sentence, a closing door, an irreversible turn. But here's the truth that's often overlooked. The earlier you know, the more power you have. Knowing what you're dealing with isn't about labeling someone. It's about unlocking the door to support, preparation, and peace of mind. So what should you do if you're concerned about your memory or the memory of someone you love? Let's walk through it together, step by step, gently. Step 1. Keep a memory journal. Start by noting down the moments that feel unusual. Not just forgetting keys or names, but patterns. Are you forgetting conversations completely? Are you struggling with words you once used easily? Are you getting lost in familiar places? Tracking these can help you differentiate between occasional slips and consistent decline. Step 2. Talk to someone you trust. You don't have to carry this worry alone. Speak to a close friend, a spouse, or an adult child. Sometimes they may have quietly noticed things too, but didn't know how to bring it up. Having an open, honest conversation creates space for mutual support, not shame. Step 3. See a doctor and ask for a cognitive assessment. This isn't a test you pass or fail. It's simply a way for your healthcare provider to understand how your brain is functioning. They may use simple memory tests, ask questions about daily functioning, or even suggest imaging scans or blood tests if needed. Many memory issues stem from treatable causes like vitamin deficiencies, thyroid imbalances, or medication side effects. And if it's something more serious, early detection opens the door to new treatments and care plans. Step 4. Build a circle of care. If memory issues are confirmed, this is the time to start building your support network. Involve loved ones. Find a doctor who listens. Seek out community groups or counseling. Dementia care is not just medical, it's emotional, relational, and deeply human. Step 5. Focus on what you can still do and do it with intention. Even with memory challenges, you are still you. You can still cook a favorite dish, tell a story, sing a song, enjoy a walk. You can still love, still laugh, still live. The diagnosis is not the end. It is the beginning of a new chapter, one where care and compassion take the lead. Let go of the idea that you must be strong alone. Strength in this stage of life is not about independence at all costs. It's about knowing when to reach out, when to soften, when to say, "I need help." And that truly is the most human thing of all. In the next part, we'll explore how family members and caregivers can provide the right kind of support with patience, understanding, and love that adapts. But before we turn the page, take a breath. You're not broken. You're not alone. You are simply walking a new path, and you are still worthy of dignity, clarity, and care. When someone you love begins to change in ways you don't fully understand, forgetting names, repeating questions, getting confused about time, it can feel like you're losing pieces of them. You might feel frustration, grief, guilt, and sometimes even fear. But here's what matters most. They are still here. They still feel. They still need you, just in a different way. So how do you show up for someone who's starting to slip away from the world as they knew it? Let's talk about 5 gentle, powerful ways to care for them and for yourself. 1. Meet them where they are, not where you wish they were. When your loved one forgets what day it is, don't argue. When they call you by your brother's name, don't correct them harshly. Instead, join them in their moment. Smile, be present. Speak slowly and warmly. It's not about pretending. It's about choosing connection over correction. Because what they remember most isn't the fact. It's the feeling you left them with. Number 2, create a safe and predictable space. People facing memory decline thrive in environments that feel familiar and consistent. Keep the house layout the same. Label drawers and cabinets. Use photos, calendars, and clocks to help with orientation. These little things may seem small, but they offer stability in a world that feels increasingly unstable to them. 3. Focus on emotional memory, not just factual memory. Even as short-term memory fades, emotional memory often remains. They may not remember what you said 5 minutes ago, but they'll remember the tone, the warmth in your eyes, or the joy of singing an old song. Read a poem together. Look through a photo album. Play a familiar melody. Moments of shared emotion can create real comfort and joy, even if the details disappear. 4. Learn to manage your own emotions. Caring for someone with cognitive decline is one of the most emotionally taxing roles anyone can take on. You might find yourself exhausted, irritable, or feeling helpless. That doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you human. You need breaks. You need support. Talk to a counselor. Join a caregiver support group. Ask for help when you need it. You can't pour from an empty cup, and your loved one needs you whole. 5. Preserve dignity. Always. Never talk over their head. Never laugh at their confusion. Never treat them like a child. Even if their words falter, even if their memories fade, they are still the person you've loved for decades. Look into their eyes and see the soul that remains. Hold their hand not just to guide them, but to remind them they're not forgotten. Sometimes the most profound love we give is not in grand gestures, but in the quiet patience of a familiar voice, the calm reassurance of a steady routine, or the gentle choice to sit beside them in silence. If you are caring for someone with memory loss, know this: you are doing sacred work. You are helping someone feel safe in a world that no longer makes sense to them. And even if they forget your name, they won't forget your kindness. In our final part, we'll talk about how to protect your future. What steps you can take today to prepare, plan, and live with intention, even as memory becomes more fragile. Are you ready to keep walking this path together? If you've ever stood in the quiet of your kitchen and wondered, "Why did I come in here?" You're not alone. If you've ever forgotten a name, misplaced your glasses, or struggled to recall a word that used to come so easily, you're not broken. You're aging. And aging is not a flaw. It's not a sign of weakness. It's proof that you've lived, that you've remembered 1,000 things for decades, and now your mind is asking for more rest, more care, more tenderness. So what can you do now, today, to care for your mind, your dignity, and your future? Let's close this journey together with a few grounding steps. 1. Get an honest memory checkup, and don't delay. Many people fear a diagnosis, so they avoid the doctor. But early detection can give you more time to prepare, more control over your care, and better chances of slowing decline. It's not just about what's happening, it's about understanding why, and you deserve answers. 2. Make a plan while you're still in charge. Write down your wishes. Who should speak for you if you can't? What kind of medical care do you want or don't want? Where would you feel most at peace? At home, with family, or in a care setting you trust? Don't wait for others to guess. Speak now, not out of fear, but out of love for yourself and your family. 3. Start small, daily habits to protect your brain. As we've explored throughout this video, simple things like deep sleep, staying connected, eating whole foods, and moving your body can nourish your brain. It's never too late to start. Even tiny changes today can become powerful defenses tomorrow. 4. Embrace joy, not just prevention. Caring for your brain isn't just about avoiding decline. It's about living fully, laughing with friends, learning something new, holding your grandchild, and remembering that life is still rich and beautiful. Don't let fear steal your joy. Memory may change, but meaning remains. 5. Share your story. If something in this video touched you, a feeling, a memory, a question, don't keep it to yourself. Write it down. Tell a friend. Leave a comment below. When we speak openly, we break the silence that so often surrounds aging and memory loss. Because here's the truth. You are not alone. Millions of people around the world are walking the same path, asking the same questions, holding the same fears. And together, we can walk with more light, more wisdom, and more peace. Let memory be a garden. Yes, some flowers may fade, but others bloom late and carry a beauty all their own. And as long as you are here, you are worthy of love, dignity, and care. Thank you for walking this journey with us today. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to Golden Pathways so you don't miss future episodes, and share this with someone you love, because they may be carrying the same quiet questions in their heart. Stay well, stay kind, and never stop listening to what your soul remembers.